I never knew that I had control issues or that I was a controlling person until my life was thrown into chaos about 18 months ago, and I lost any sense of control that I thought I had over my life. And it was shortly thereafter that I began to realize that I definitely had some controlling tendencies. And what I mean by that is, I want to be clear, I'm not talking about manipulation or employing psychological tactics like blackmail to get my way, because that's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm really just talking about always trying to stack the odds in my favor. And really, control issues are just rooted in fear and really just wanting and having a strong desire to have some level of certainty in your life. But really, striving for that level of certainty is just setting you up to live in a constant state of worry and stress and anxiety like I was, because you're just trying to control something that is not controllable, and that is life. And so we may have a certain level of comfort in life, but we don't have any control over it because anything can happen at any time. And that's really just part of the deal of being alive. And so during this time, I just really was always pushing against the natural flow of events that wanted to take place in my life. And I was overly attached emotionally to very specific outcomes. And I had a very just limited perspective. And I wasn't open to any other possibilities that existed outside of my plan. And I was just solely focused on my specific plan, even though some of those possibilities probably would have been much better than I could have possibly even imagined. And I would catch myself out in public having these control issues. And so if I was driving around and someone wasn't driving an acceptable speed that I thought they should be driving, I would get right behind them and tailgate them because they were not meeting my criteria of how I thought they should be driving their vehicle. And mind you, this is someone that is a complete stranger that I don't know who they are. And so it just, even me talking about it sounds insane in hindsight to have operated in this mindset of trying to control all these different things, or honking my horn, or when I'm at the grocery store, if I'm waiting in line and another lane opens up and I rush over there because I might check out like 3 or 4 minutes quicker than I would have, or even rearranging the items on the conveyor belt. Because that might save me another minute so that I can get on to whatever I am going to get onto. But just looking back in hindsight, it's just crazy. And it is most certainly where my perfectionism tendencies are rooted in, which is another issue that I've struggled with for most of my adult life, perfectionism. And so in order to kind of combat some of these control issues, what I have begun practicing and really resorting to is this sense of surrender. And I just want to be clear that when I say surrender, I'm not talking about giving up. And there's a very big difference between the two, because giving up is losing hope and feeling defeated and really just abandoning your hopes and dreams and desires. Whereas surrender is kind of just accepting what you cannot change and really just letting go of very specific outcomes and just kind of turning over to this higher power or natural flow of life, or whatever you would like to call it. That is what surrender is. And once you enter into a state of surrender, it's really about just developing that deeper level of trust that everything is going to work out the way it is supposed to, and that the natural flow of life is going to work things out the way that it needs to work out for you in your particular situation. You begin to just operate in the present a lot more. And so you're not going to spend as much time worrying about all of the potential outcomes or scenarios that may play out, because that is literally anxiety. That's what it is. And so when you operate in the present moment and you're just focused on putting one foot in front of the other and not all the potential things that could play out, once again, that is an act of surrendering to the present moment. And then finally, just acceptance and embracing what is, and not always trying to just fight against reality. And so when you just let be what is, once again, it is another form of surrender, and it's a relinquishing of that control that is just leading to a lot of psychological suffering, or at least was for me in my case. And so there are some practical steps to overcome this. And one thing that I started doing that really worked for me was setting intentions instead of like hard expectations. And so every morning that I wake up, I set intentions. And so, I will set the intention of today I am aligning my energy with positivity, success, and abundance. Or I trust in the universe's plan for me and know that everything is working out in my favor. And so by setting intentions as opposed to hard expectations, it's just a form of surrender that just allows you to kind of, like I said, give up some of that control and the suffering that comes along with it. It also helps to really cultivate flexibility and to be open to those other possibilities that I was closing out of my life for a long time. Because there are things beyond your imagination or your plan that are probably much better ways of things working out. Or at least that's how it's been in my experience. And then finally, a really important exercise that I did was I looked back at my life when my plans had fallen through, and then realizing that a lot of times there was a lot more good that came out of that when that happened. And so just looking for other specific instances where things didn't go my way, but ultimately the result that came out of it was something that was even better than if things had gone to my plan. Okay? And so this is something that I'm going to be talking about a lot on this channel, the issue of control, because it's still something that I actively practice on managing on a daily basis. But if you're interested in control, or learning about patience or compassion, or our over-attachment to things that all cause suffering, as well as impermanence, these are things that I'm going to be diving into deeper on this channel, because I'm very much in the midst of my own awakening, and I have just come across a ton of awesome information that has really helped me really shift my mindset and begin moving in the direction of my life that I want to be moving in. And so I'm just looking forward to sharing all of the things that have worked for me and things that I'm excited to learn about on my channel. And so if you liked this video, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button. Maybe think about subscribing if anything I just said sounded of interest to you. And if you are going to practice surrendering as opposed to just rowing against the tide, I would love to hear from you in the comments below for how that's going. And remember, surrendering is not giving up, and there's a really big difference between the two. So anyway, since I started surrendering more to life, I just felt just way better flow in all areas of my life, and a lot of my suffering has subsided. But once again, this is a daily practice for sure that I am doing all the time. So anyway, with that said, I am John. I will see you in the next one. And until then, I hope that you will be well.